What up? What up? What up, y'all? We back. Scaleout episode 24. Man, we are here. We in the office right now. We making calls in the virtual office. That is, making calls. Got my team in here. Andrew's in here. I think Andrew's on the call right now. Andrew, say hi to the stream.
What's up, stream?
Hold on, they can't see you yet. 1 second. There we go.
Are we back?
We back, bro. Scale out episode 4, dog. Making some calls today, man.
What up, stream?
I'm about to underwrite a couple deals on here. I think if Nick doesn't come back by 7, because he has that call scheduled, we can call him. Or Andrew, you can call him if you want.
All right.
Because Nick playing games. Let me text him. Yo, so I was doing those lead audits yesterday, right? And I listened to one of Nick's calls, and the dude, somebody called back, right? Nick answered the phone. Nick's like, "Yeah, I'm eating lunch right now. Can I call you back?" And never got back in contact with the guy. The guy never answered the phone after that. Like, we called like a million times, and he's never answered after that. I'm like, come on, Nick. I assigned it to somebody else. I'm like, that's crazy, Nick. I meant to tell him about that.
That's crazy.
And the whole stream heard it because I was streaming when I played it. All right, y'all. So I'm about to underwrite a couple deals. I need to underwrite this. I need to underwrite. I get frustrated about this deal because it is one that we had. It was a cash out refi. I had certain terms structured for the deal, and what happened was we had to get a new lender because there was an issue with my buyer or my seller and the current lender, right? So we're doing a cash out refi, taking it over sub 2. We were supposed to close this last week, but we had to get a new lender. So I need to underwrite that deal because we got a new loan at freaking 9.2%, which sucks. It's absolutely terrible. And they try to say it's interest only. So I wanted to underwrite that one. I'm actually gonna run that by the DMV accountability call tonight because there's some really smart people in there, people that are smarter than me who can help me out on that. Shout out to the DMV. Hopefully Sabina can help me out on this. But I'm gonna underwrite it and see what we can do. Y'all hear Andrew in the background making calls, so when he gets on the call, I'll pull him back on the screen so y'all can see some skills, see him lock some stuff up, man. So yeah, if it's y'all first on here, make sure y'all subscribe to the channel, like the video for me. Let's get it, man. Let's underwrite some deals. I need to pull up this new rate. Absolutely atrocious. I really hope it doesn't ruin the deal.
Please leave your message.
Also, we're closing on a flip tomorrow, my first flip ever. And I'm actually getting paid to close on the flip, which is really cool. Really, really cool. Getting paid $5,000 to buy a property. Can't beat that. Can't beat that. And I'll break that down. I'll show how we do it. Yeah, it's gonna be really cool. So I'm gonna run these numbers. Let me actually call Ken. Call my guy, Dr. Ken.
Hey, Daryl, how you doing?
Hey, Ken, I'm doing good. How are you?
All right, good. What's up, bud? Happy Juneteenth.
Yeah, thank you. Happy Juneteenth to you too. Are you a father? Are you a dad?
I am.
Happy Father's Day, man.
Yeah, ditto. Are you a dad?
I'm a dog dad. That's about
All
it.
right. That counts.
Yeah.
That counts.
Yeah, I just wanted to give you a call. I seen you forwarded that email to me with from Tanya. She had said something about you having a potential co-borrower. Was that for us? Were you thinking, or
No. So one of the things that so the deal is that I have a good friend who's got great credit, and I basically offered to pay him some cash if he was willing to co-sign on this. And part of that is that he's under the understanding that you're going to assume the loan almost immediately. So
well, it's not assuming. We wouldn't be assuming, but we'd be taking the payments over.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know how else to say that. So,
yeah. All right. Yeah. Just wanted to make sure, because assuming would mean like my name would be on the loan, like our company's name would be on the loan.
Oh, I get it. I get it. Okay. So anyway, yeah. So that's what that is, and he's willing to. Yeah. And so the objective was to. So what happened was when I saw the new rate compared to the one with Civic, I was like, holy shit,
it hurt so bad.
I mean, that was painful.
Yeah.
And I said to Tanya, I said, what's the difference? She said, well, even Civic's rates have gone up, and, it's the type of loans, and Civic is known for, being low cost, or low interest rate loans and stuff. So, I said, well, what do we do to get this down? Because I want to make this a done deal.
Yeah.
And she's like, maybe if you had a co-borrower with a better credit score, that would help out. So I found he's actually a good friend of mine. We've known each other for a long time. And let me tell you, it was a tough ask, to get someone to do it. But he has like a 799 credit score. So he's got a pretty solid score.
Okay.
And he did it. I mean, he agreed to it. So we'll see where it goes and if it makes any difference.
Oh, so that's already in motion.
Yeah.
Oh, nice. Okay, cool.
Yeah. So I'm trying to make this happen because I got to get this place sold. So, and I'm hoping that, that our deal goes through, and I'm trying to do everything I can to make that happen.
Well, I appreciate that, because I felt the same exact way when I seen those rates as well. And I too asked her, like, what can we do? And she brought me another option. She's like, interest only payments. And I'm thinking that the interest only payments would be better. It's like a $40 difference. I'm like, Tanya, why would you even bring me that?
Yeah, I know. Yeah, and she did the same thing. I was like, come on. I mean, it's like, well, I was like, well, I couldn't understand. And that's when she said, well, maybe if you had someone with a better credit score.
Yeah.
So just so you know, I offered to pay him $2,500.
Okay. Just
to get the rates down.
Okay.
And we'll see.
All right, cool. So when did she give you a timeline on when we should get a new answer?
Because of Juneteenth, all the banks and everything's closed.
Yeah.
So she said no one's doing anything today, but that tomorrow, hopefully, with the creditor. So I filled out the application. I had my buddy, his name is Jay. I had him fill out the stuff. He was with me when she sent over the docs. So I'm like, all right, well, this is it. Let's do it. And he's like, just give me the form. I'll sign. And so he did. And, I was like, well, you're going to have to be on the docs now and everything. And he's like, well, just don't screw me over.
Oh, yeah, no.
So
did she give you a like an estimate, like a range of what the rates may be at, or does she not know either?
She didn't have any idea. She said she'd go back to the lender and ask the lender. Mm-hmm. And but she didn't get. She thought she'd have an answer for me on Friday, but she didn't. And she was trying to make it happen. I got this stuff back to her like at 8:30 a.m. California time.
Yeah.
And which was 11:30, and she was hoping to have by the end of the day an answer. And she even texted that to me, and and she's like, then I think it was Saturday or Sunday. She replied, I hadn't heard anything, so we'll have to wait till Monday.
I gotcha. Okay. Well, sounds like we're making progress for sure. Everything is ready on our end as well, and we're definitely looking forward to doing this. What you said last time that you planned on putting your money into some other investments. What you thinking?
Well, so every year I've gone down, not every year, but I used to go every month. There's two major auctions in Georgia. Mm-hmm. And I usually go to those auctions and wind up, trying to acquire property or whatever. And so that's one of the things that I was hoping to do with it. But the most important thing I wanted to do, which of course I wasn't going to say anything to Civic, is pay off my first, right?
Oh, yeah.
That's a high interest, high money, hard money loan that I just want to get out of.
Yeah.
And, I kind of need to, because it's kind of strangleholding me right now. But so anyway, so I'd go to those, and then one of the guys I met at the Georgia auction goes to Florida and Texas auctions.
Mm-hmm.
And he's got, some insight in how things work there. So he invited me to go to the Texas and Florida auctions. I was thinking, wow, if I go to any of these, if I have some working capital, I might be able to buy it. He actually bought a zone for 6 homes, chunk of property, and a contractor came up to him at the auction and said, listen, I was bidding on that property. And the guy said, yeah, I know. And he says, why don't we do a joint venture where he puts up, since the one guy bought the property, the contractor would build 6, like beautiful homes on there. And
nice.
It's on a cul-de-sac. And they would go 50-50 partners in the deal. And so they agreed to it, and they've sold off 5 of the 6 pre-development.
Oh, wow.
And they've already 10x their money. So they have all of their money that they're going to need for this development stuff, because it's already been prepaid by people who
That's
bought
awesome.
these houses.
Yeah.
So it's a great deal. And I was like, shit, if we can architect deals like that, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So, but anyway,
I was going to say, why don't you just let me show you how to buy these houses creatively, man? You can take that money that you're going to spend at the auction and buy 10 houses, 20 houses.
Right. I would love to do that.
Yeah.
I truly would. How do we do that? What's the next step?
I mean, with those states that you mentioned, we're actively calling, just like you get texts for your house now. We text homeowners in those areas: Florida, Atlanta, Texas. We're in Minnesota and Vegas. Those are the five states that we're doing it at. And I also get stuff just sent to me from other people who want to learn how to do these creative deals. And when I come across them, I mean, I don't buy all of them, right? So if there's something that would make sense for you, I'd say, hey, Ken, you want to buy this, or do you want a JV on this? And we can, I would love to own some properties with you, man. You're my guy. So I would definitely do that.
I would definitely do it with you too. There's no question. So
yeah. And we like to make we like to do Airbnbs and short-term rentals and stuff like that. So yeah, whenever I'll bring you, just let me know what exactly you're looking for, what kind of properties you would like to do, and we can work something out, man.
Well, totally. Let's do this. So what would you say would be the next step? I mean, let's finish our deal, and then I'll take some cash, and then you and I get together. Or how do you want to do this?
Yeah, we can do that. We can jump on a Zoom, or we can, because I told you I'm moving to the West Coast, so we could even meet up one day in person, like we were talking, and let's figure it out, map some stuff out, and I can show you our whole operation and how we get things done. But yeah, definitely finish our deal first. And
I would totally love that, man. I gotta tell you, I totally would love that.
Same, man. Let's do it.
Yeah, let's do it.
Because I like the auction, the auctions are cool. And I was actually just learning this from my mentor. It's really tough to buy properties at the auctions because they have people who work them that pretty much know what's gonna happen, right? So you can pay these people and say, oh, I want this property, right? Or they'll tell you hey, we have this property for sale, pay me this extra money, and I'll let you get it, right? I'll bid it up for you or something like that, right? So that happens a lot. And we kind of stay away from auctions. We find better deals, way more bigger spreads, going direct to the homeowner and getting them before they go to the auction.
So that's very true. There's a lot of people out there that do that exact thing, So they'll say, hey, there's 20 homes up for auction, and these are tax lien auctions.
Yeah.
So they don't even care what the tax amount is, right? It's just inconsequential. That doesn't matter. What matters is what is the highest bid.
Yeah.
Their objective is to drive the bid up. And, because they have the working capital to do it. So say a guy owes $1,000 to taxes, it goes to auction because the guy died or whatever, he's in a divorce or whatever, lost his job, whatever the issue is. And there's people at the auction, it starts at 1,000, and these people say 10,000, right away. That's the next bid.
Yeah.
And what they're trying to do is shock people out of investing, right? And then someone will go 11,000, and then they'll go 20,000. and someone will go 21, and they'll go 31.
30. Yep.
And, and they just do the bullshit. And that what they're doing is they're just parking their money for a year because they get, in Georgia, 21%. Right. And so what they're doing is they're precluding the property owner from buying back. And at the same time, they're trying to exclude anyone else from getting that opportunity to buy the property.
Yep.
And what they do is they have a couple investors that, have the money, that are willing to say, here's 50,000 or 100,000, just park it for a year. And at the very least, they're going to get, 10 to 15% return on their investment. So, or they get the property. So what they'll do is they'll bid up to probably 80 to 85% of the true value of the property after rehab value. And, I've talked to these guys. I said, all you're doing is eliminating the bottom dwellers. And they go, damn right. And, and that's
crazy.
How they feel about it. They don't care about the bottom dwellers.
Yep.
And so, they're like, I'm willing to put, $50,000 to sit there for a year to either make 21% on that or to, gain a house for 50 grand. And so at the end of the year, most of the time, because now the owner doesn't owe the 1,000, they owe 50,000, they walk away. They just take the loss. And, and so these guys get, a house, they say it was truly just cost them, it cost them the 50 grand. The tax people keep that, but they get the house. And then they rehab the house and either rent it out or they sell it, for less than, they paid, or they sell it for more than what they got. For.
Yep.
Yeah. And so that's their method. And it's just, strong arm everyone out of the auction. And so some of the deals are great if there's enough homes listed in the auctions. These guys are going to blow their wad,
yep.
Early on, trying to eliminate people on decent homes or whatever, and if they, and if there's not too many of them, and there's usually only one or two at an auction. And, so they may gobble up 5 or 6 homes, but after that, they don't have the wherewithal to get any other homes.
Yep.
But they'll stay around and they'll see who gets the additional homes and say, a guy owes $1,000 and I bid, up to 10,000. They'll come running up to me after I, before I pay the tax guy the 10 grand, and they'll go, look, we'll give you 20 grand for that 10 grand that you just spent. And, I'm like, not interested. I just got it
right.
for this price.
Yeah, that's crazy.
But they ran out of their money, right? And the other thing that they've been doing is they go around and they say, oh, hey, Joe Blow owes $5,000 and they're going to lose their house. And they knock on Joe Blow's door and they say, listen, you're going to lose your house at the tax auction tomorrow. For you owe $5,000 or whatever. We'll give you 8 grand, but we'll become your landlord. And we'll take over any mortgage payment or whatever, right? They, and you rent back to us. That way you have no loss, except for the fact that you just went from ownership to renting.
Right.
And, but then if you don't pay that new landlord, they'll evict you. And they acquire the house for pennies on the dollar.
Yeah. So, and I mean, so that last part, right? That's actually, we're not like that, right? But we reach out to families who are in pre-foreclosure. Right. And they do have auctions coming up. And I'll say, hey, like, this bank's about to take your house. Right. If I can get you $5,000-$10,000 to walk away, would you let me take over your new payments? Right. Kind of like what we're doing. We're taking over your payments. And most times they're like super grateful. Right. We'll give them some time to go find a new place or go rent. A lot of times they already have that lined up because they know they're going to lose the house. Right. And now instead of them just losing it, we come in and we give them money to walk away. And then as we're making these payments every single month, it's actually building their credit. Right. So that's a big thing that we do as well. And it works a lot more than us going to the auction and try to get it. And we get a lot better deals and we helping somebody out as well, rather than them just losing the house,
Right.
So
how many people do you have working for you?
So a lot of my employees are actually in the Philippines. They're overseas. So we have about 8 in the Philippines. And then how many in the States? We have 5 in the States.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's all. Does that include you?
No, it doesn't include me. No.
So 9, right?
Yep.
So that's cool. So you're a gang of 14. So I assume those are virtual assistants.
Yep, we got virtual assistants in the Philippines. They're cold calling.
And they're the ones doing the texting and the phone calling
Yep.
to get you.
Yeah, and they set appointments for us.
Right. Are they the ones seeking the list of pre-foreclosure stuff?
So I have a partner as well who does that. He gets the list together and stuff like that. And then we're actually training one to do that. But as of right now, he pulls the list. And honestly, man, a lot of our pre-foreclosures, they come from other investors who have no clue what the hell to do with them. Right. And they're like, yeah, I have no clue how to help this person. And they bring it to us. And kind of like so with and then you're not in pre-foreclosure at all, obviously, but this deal that we're doing with you, how we got introduced, we didn't pull a list for you. You were speaking with Stanley at first, and Stanley brought it to us because he's like, yeah, he's asking for market value, and I have no clue how to get him that, right? But I do. So he brought it to me, and I showed him how we can do it. So that's pretty much how we get a lot of our leads. Like I'm a guy who loves buying creatively, and people need help doing that and structuring these deals. So they bring them to us.
Right.
Yeah.
What is your vision for me?
To buy a lot of properties with you, man. Buy a lot of deals with you.
All right. I'm down. Yeah. I mean, honestly, what I liked about Stanley was, and the fact is, you get these calls and text all day long, right? Like I probably get 4 or 5 a day, at least text. And then sometimes phone calls, people are like, it's as soon as you answer the phone and you're like, hello, and there's a long silence, right? Like, right? Like instantly, this is a spam call or whatever.
Yeah.
And, I didn't have an issue with Stanley, but, I was just like, look, Stan, I have 2 choices. I'm not in distress, right? So I can put my house on the market and get what the market will bring, or we can work a deal. And I said, but why would I take anything less than what the market would give me?
Exactly.
And it doesn't make sense. It's not, if I was in distress and I was about to lose my primary residence, totally different story, right? And I said, but I'm not. So I have the luxury of time. I've got, the ability to put it on the market and see what the market will bring. And I have a realtor who has sold other properties of mine and done so above asking, right? And she didn't know how to do that, but I taught her how to do that. Because in Georgia, you list a house for $250,000. That's what someone will pay for it.
Yeah.
But in California, you list your house for $250,000.
You'll get $300,000.
If you get less than $350,000, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's insulting. And it's just crazy out here. And she's like, her name is Darlene. And Darlene's like, well, how do you do that? I mean, there's several ways. One is to create a competitive bid situation where you say, instead of first one to the table with the full offer amount, you say, we're going to accept offers up until, 4th of July. Yep. And any bona fide offer, or the highest bona fide offer after this date, gets the home. It's that simple. And so now people are competing against each other blindly. They have no idea, right? Like, sometimes you walk into a house and a realtor say, well, we've already had a bona fide offer for $150,000 on this home. So, if the seller accepts it, it's not really for sale anymore.
Yeah.
And to me, that's like, oh my God, you're turning a blind eye to potential revenue. That's ridiculous. And so, one of the things we did on one of my properties, I said to Darlene, I said, have a, submission date by this. And she's like, well, we don't really do that here. I said, well, now you do. and she did. And sure enough, we had 2 bona fide offers from people with letters from local banks that said, that they have they're pre-authorized for, the full amount or this amount. And both of them offered above asking, assuming that someone else would have at least offered asking. And sure enough, they bid against each other. And then what I did is Darlene's like, wow, this guy bid $40,000 more than that guy, and they're both above your asking. And so I said, no, we're not done yet. She goes, what do you mean? I said, there's another step to this process. So you write a deliberately vague email to each one of them saying, we've accepted, we appreciate your offer. We've had more than one bona fide offer. If you're willing to, enhance your offer, you are you are closely in contention for ownership of the home. And just improve your offer a little bit, and that'll push you over into the winning spot. Something along those lines, right? And we crafted it carefully to not lie, but to also not mislead, right? And so what happened is the guy in second place added another like $52,000 to their bid. 52, whereas the guy that was in first place offered another like 32,000. But the first place guy was already 30 or 40,000 over the other guy. So he was a total of 80,000 over asking, and the other guy was 70,000 at the end of it. So I said, Darlene, you realize with 2 simple emails, we just got an additional $80,000. And she was just floored. She's like, we've never done that. I've never heard anyone do it. I've told all my colleagues, and she works for some broker, big broker or whatever. She goes, no one has ever heard of that. And I said, but that doesn't mean it's wrong. It doesn't mean it's unethical. It just means that you have a commodity that multiple people want. And you've created a competitive bid situation where the people expressed how much they wanted. And I said, but we're not done yet. And she goes, oh my God, you got to be kidding me. And I said, no, here's what I want you to do. I want you to ask both parties to say that your bids are so similar in their dollar value that I want you to write a letter saying why you deserve the house over the other couple. And they both did. And the reason I had them do that is, in my opinion, a stroke of brilliance. But the reason I had them do that is if one of the parties gets in and has buyer's remorse and they say, hold on a minute, we paid $80,000 over asking, because they'll know, right? Yeah. They'll know what the winning bid was. We paid $80,000 over asking, and we don't think it's worth it now that they're moving into the house. If they were to say, you know what, we're going to sue because we were misled, I'm going to have a letter that says why they deserve the house, right? And their love for the house is, and what they're going to do and how they're going to bring up their family and all this other stuff. It's just the fact that they write that letter is kind of we're never going to see them in court, period. And from a psychological point of view. And she had never heard of anything like that. And I said, but the outcome of it is now they're both justifying the way they overbid, and because they're justifying it, they'll have to answer to that in court if they sue for feeling like they got boonswoggled into the deal.
And it sounds like you should open a brokerage.
Yeah, no, I couldn't take the cut and pay. So anyway, it was something that we did, and we'd sold a couple of these houses. Unfortunately, I'm still in the process of going through my divorce, and it's just, it's stupid. I mean, my ex doesn't have anything to do with it, but I still have to disclose all this stuff, and she has no rights to any of this stuff. But, which is why I took out hard money loans on this as opposed to using my personal assets on it. It's just because I didn't want her to be able to come back and say, well, you owe me half of the benefit of this.
I was super curious as to why you had a hard money loan on it. I was thinking just so you could do the repairs, but I was like, it doesn't make too much sense.
It was to keep her. It was to keep her out completely, right? And we had done so. We still have all of our money. I mean, we sold our business and everything, and we still have all of our money in trust. And the issue with it is that, we haven't done distributions from that. Well, we do distributions for cost of living and child support and all this other stuff, but it hasn't been finalized. And because it hasn't been finalized, we're in kind of this situation where, she could legitimately make a claim, well, you used family funds to purchase it. So that's why I took out hard money. So smart. She cannot make any claims to any of this stuff.
Super smart.
So, yeah. And it's just a matter of that. But Daryll, I'd love to work with you, man. I would totally love to work with you. I know the real estate industry. I know purchasing. I don't know everything about foreclosures and stuff like that. I do know at one point I thought about, going up to people, because I remember at the DeKalb County auction last year, actually, there was a guy came out and he had 3 foreclosed properties. And he was bidding them off to the highest bidders, had been foreclosed by the bank, and we're bidding them off for 30 cents on the dollar.
Wow.
And and I was like, shoot, I should be bidding on these. But my problem with it is I had done no research on the properties. I had no idea if the tenants were still in them or not. I had no idea if they were in shambles. I had no idea if they burnt to the ground. I had no idea. So I couldn't purchase any of them. That would just be reckless.
That makes sense.
But, there was one guy there that, I was talking to that actually bid on and got one of the 3 houses. And I asked him, and he said, no, he says, you're smart. You didn't bid on the other houses. He goes, one of them has a hole in the roof that literally snow and rain has been coming in for like over a year.
Sheesh.
And and there's like bugs and spiders, just like everything inside. Hornet's nest, like 6 feet tall inside the house. And, and I actually have pictures. I'll show them to you one day. And because I drove by the property after the auction, and I was like, oh, thank God. But, like you get a good contractor and you don't even go inside the house until they're done, right? It's too heartbreaking.
Yeah.
And you let them go in and they'll deal with all the BS. But, they're getting paid. So, but anyway, the one guy told me, he said he wouldn't even bid at 30 cents on the dollar for the other 2 houses because they were so dilapidated. Well, one of them was dilapidated. The other one still had tenants in it, had squatters in it. And, you have to go through a legal process to get them evicted. And go, yeah, whatever, 60 days and they're out. He goes, yeah, but thousands of dollars on top of it. Plus you got to do this and that and rehab, and who knows what conditions inside. These people don't have electricity, they don't have heat, so they're breaking off paneling on the wall and whatever. He says, some of these are a mess. So he says, you're smart to have not blindly bought it. But and he's like, the only one in decent shape that is evicted, that is in good condition, was this one, and he's the one who bought it. And I was like, shit, if I had known. And he goes, yep. He goes, that's the thing. He goes, and he says every week he buys a house, or every month he buys a house or two from the same attorney that auctions them off. And I think he represents Bank of America or something. And he auctions them off, and he says, first person to bid it. And usually everybody just stands around. No one ever bids on them. So
yeah, man, auctions are definitely not the way to go, especially in today's market, right? Like, yeah, those are cash, right? But today's market, as we see right now, trying to get this dang refinance, the rates are crazy, right? So last couple of years, people were getting the best rates we've ever seen, right? 2-3%. These are the loans that we're taking over. Right. Yeah. So I'm actually closing on one on Tuesday, and it's not you're in the Bay Area, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're closing on one in Modesto tomorrow, actually.
Right.
And we're gonna do a flip on it. But same thing, it was a pre-foreclosure and a probate deal. I told you about this before, but it's been taking so long because it's probate. We had to stop we had to do the probate process and stop the foreclosure. And now we're taking over this loan, and we're gonna do a flip and then get out of there in like 3 months. So, man, it's really like I'm coming out of pocket probably to start off. Well, actually, I'm sorry. We converted this to cash. We converted this to cash out, so I'm coming out of pocket $270. But originally, we had we were just taking over the mortgage, and I probably would have been coming out of pocket like $60,000 to take over a house, and just take over that mortgage, and then do whatever we do with it. And once we sell it, would have really good profits. But we converted it to cash. But this is like the best time to start doing these deals. And a lot of stuff's going to be going to the auction, and we're going to be there just catching everything before it gets there. And getting the best deals, man. So
all right, so you tell me, right? Like, I'm anxious to get going on this. It's funny because I work for a startup company, and it's kind of the company itself is kind of an automatic. We've done all the hard work. I work with an engineer. We're designing pet products, right? So, and it's pet tech. And we've gone through 90% of what we have to, the work that I've done. And now at this point, it's up to manufacturing, right? Because like everything else is kind of done. And the manufacturing aspect of it, the engineer who's my business partner, that's where he comes in, right? So he's the guy who says, here's how you build it, here's what I need. And he's the one who tests the products and so forth and so on, right? So, and it's, parts are being built in 3 different countries and stuff like that, and shipped to the United States and assembled here. Anyway, and so like I was just talking to him this afternoon, and I was like, how are things? He goes, well, you've done most of your work now. I'm ramping up. And so we're kind of just chilling, and I'm like, shit, I should be doing something else. It's like I can't just sit around all day every day. I got to do something.
What market do you want the properties in for like Atlanta? You want to stay in the Atlanta market?
I don't care where I am.
Okay, because like this next 2 weeks we're putting together a team. I'm gonna teach like a bunch of newer people who want to just learn real estate how to do door knocking. So we're gonna actually be door knocking pre-foreclosures in Arizona, Atlanta, and Orlando. So the next couple weeks we should have a whole bunch of deals to buy out there. And I mean, you really don't have to do anything. You just, if you want to learn, I can teach you how the process goes, and like if you really want to learn like the step by step, or if you just want the properties, I'll show you like, hey, this is the property that we have. This is how much we need to buy the deal. This is what we're going to make on it every single month, and then I'll show you how we structured it. So I mean, if you want, you can let me do the heavy lifting, or I can show you how we do it, and you can do it that way. So either way, it works for me.
Well, why don't we sleep on it? And let's reconvene tomorrow. Just call me tomorrow morning, because hopefully we'll have some news from Tanya as to what's going on. And I'm happy to be boots on the ground. I'm also, and I'm not above door knocking or anything, especially if it gets you properties. Flip side to it, I've also done this for years. So, being on the management and the growth and acquisition side is something that interests me as much. So
let's do it, man. Let's definitely talk about it.
All right. You want to reconvene mañana?
Yeah, let's do it. Like you said, hopefully we get some news from Tanya, and then let's talk in the morning. So I'm going to check out a project with my buddy in the morning. Well, it's going to be really early for you. I'm going to like 9 o'clock, 9:30, but that's really early for you.
And you're still on the East Coast, right?
Yeah, I'm still on the East Coast right now. Just shoot me a text tomorrow morning, and then we can jump on a call.
Sounds great.
All right, Ken. Appreciate you, man.
Yeah, have a great one, Joe. I appreciate you too, man.
All right, you too. Thank you. Bye. Bro, so that's good. We're doing a cash out refi with this guy, closing this week. No, not this week. Closing hopefully before July. We had a rate set at 5.7%. Rates went up. He had like some type of issues with the first lender that we were going to use, so we had to get another lender. Their rate came back at freaking 9.7%. That's why you guys heard us talking about that earlier in the call. And what we did was he needed to bring a lending partner. He did this without me knowing. He brought somebody that he knows who will be like a co-borrower, and that person is going to hopefully get us a better rate on the deal. So let's see if we get Andrew said what happened. 6.5 40-yard dash. But yeah, hopefully we can get a better rate. If we can get a better rate, then that'd be amazing, because now I can turn this into an Airbnb again and get cash flow. And then I just converted. I wanted to make him a lender, but this is my guy. Like I really want to. I would own a property with this guy. Like I really would. He'll be a funding partner. He'll bring the money. I'll bring everything else, and we'll just split it 50-50. I'm cool on that with Ken. But yeah, man, build relationships with your sellers. It's more than just the house, right? This guy's a doctor. He has a whole bunch of connections in Atlanta. He's been investing out there for a while, and he really didn't need us. He really didn't need us to do this deal. He just wanted to learn something new. So teaching him that, and like he had told me plenty of times how grateful he was just because I had this option, right? So it's really cool. Yeah, he'll bring his friends too. And his friends got money. They all got money. So, yep. So I can't underwrite that deal right now. I'm going to check out a deal that Alexis sent over to my email. Is Sam Singh still on here? Sam, if you're on here, jump up on the stream, dog. He is a really nice guy, man. All right, cool. Let me find this deal from Alexis. These are cabins in North Carolina. Benny, no, I didn't underwrite anything yet. I was gonna underwrite the deal with the seller that I was just talking to, but we don't have the new interest rates yet. We're waiting on a new interest rate. Let me find this. So she says 1.49 million. Seller wants 50% down. Ouch. Owned, free and clear. This was a seller that didn't want to be in second position. Let me call Alexis.
Hello.
Here, what's up, Alexis?
What's going on?
Chilling. I'm underwriting. I'm looking at this deal right now. I didn't start underwriting it yet. I'm on stream right now, though. You want to jump on and we can do it together?
Yeah.
You got some time?
Yeah.
You sure?
Fine. Yeah, I'm just, yeah.
Are you sure? If not, it's cool. I can just ask you the question that I got right now.
I'm ready to do it. Let me just text my turn real quick.
All right. It won't take long. I'm gonna just text you. I'm gonna text you the link right now.
Okay.
All right. She definitely wasn't, Eddie. Caught her off guard, bro. So I'm saying, man, I'm not one to text you and ask you if I could call you. I'm gonna just call you. Catch you out the blue. My guy Eddie Charger. Shout out to Eddie, man. We putting together this door knocking team. Atlanta. We're gonna have a lot of freaking deals in Atlanta. If y'all not following Eddie, hit my man's up on Instagram. He's a value provider. I think it's This Dad Flips. I think it's just straight This Dad Flips. Eddie, put your Instagram in the chat so I can pin it, bro. Is it not working? Okay. Make sure y'all follow my man's Eddie on Instagram. This one. This Dad Flips. My man's a legend.
Daryll, did you call me live?
I did. Eddie said he weren't ready.
Daryll, did you call
Wait,
me
why does
live?
it always do this?
You gotta mute the YouTube.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay. It always does this. I never know how to work it.
Yeah, I definitely called you on live. Eddie said
Terrible.
you weren't ready.
Terrible. I wasn't. I saw his comments.
Was good. No, I was looking at this and I was like, this guy wants 50% down and it's free and clear, which ultimately just made me want to ask you, like, why is he selling in the first place?
Why is he selling?
Yes.
That's a good question. That's
It's
a damn
the
good
best question. It's like the only question.
You know, I was referred this. Let me see if it's in the notes that was sent to me. Okay, give me a second. And I actually didn't ask him that question. So, why is he selling? Seller owns free and clear. Oh, he lives in Colorado and he has no plans of coming back to North Carolina.
I think you can get that down payment down.
You think so?
I know so. We didn't tap on his motivation, or like what's he trying to accomplish? Why does he want 50% down?
I asked him that. I was like, hey, this doesn't typically work in our business model. Apparently, which could be a lie. What's up, Sam?
Ooh.
My man's just smiling at the camera.
Right, he just
like,
Yo.
What's up?
What's going on, guys?
What's good?
Don't mind me. I'm just going to crash here and learn how to close from Daryll. So keep going.
Me too. So supposedly he needs 50% down in order to pay off his part of the deal. Like, he wants out of the deal. He has a partner, but so far the only other person I've talked to is this realtor, and this may be his partner, maybe just be his realtor, but he said that he wanted 50% down to get out of the deal, like to get himself out of the deal.
So, okay, so you give him 1.4, 1.5 or whatever. 50% down goes to him. The other 50% will be his partner's installment payment.
So I actually got this silent second 10-year balloon, but it has 6% interest.
Is the ARV? Is that the ARV? 1.4.
This property, I don't think
It's weird.
Yeah. It's more like a multi-family type of thing, to be honest. It's 7 cabins. Like,
I feel like there's a lot to unpack here. A lot of motivation to get. And you can't go through the realtor. You didn't talk directly to the seller?
Yes, I did. So
Okay.
I talked to the seller. The seller's a professional musician, and I explained what we were trying to do, and he said, "Okay, sounds good. Explain it to me like I'm 2." I explained it again like he was 2, and he said, "Okay, it sounds good. Run it by my realtor, by my friend Ben."
Okay. So here's a quick tip, and Sam, correct me if you feel anything differently, but when somebody sends you a lead, right, and they say, hey, I need help with this, can you lock it up creatively, it doesn't work for cash, treat it like it's the first time anybody's ever spoke to them. Get all the information as possible, get the motivation, get everything you can, right? Just treat it like it's a brand new call. Because it doesn't really matter, because that person, they probably didn't get as much information as you can get, right? Like, I have people like that. Why do you think, like, when somebody, I don't know if you've ever seen it, but when somebody brings me some, like a seller to call, I don't even need any information, right? Just give me the address, give me their name, give me the number. I'll figure the rest out. Right.
That's so true. Even with Pace, because Pace doesn't really talk to sellers as much as he used to, like when he was grinding. And one thing that he would always do is he would always, like, where do we get the line, right? Catch me up to speed. And those leads were always pushed by his VAs, by his acquisitions people. But there's truly a power to being able to hear it for the first time. And not just because it's not necessarily that your people got it wrong in the beginning or they may have missed something. It's that more often than not with me, I find out that when I do this, I find out that my seller was lying to my team members in the beginning. And sometimes my team members may not ask the right probing questions to be able to get to these lies. So I think there's a tremendous power in doing that. And then I know, Daryll, you're a massive advocate of Chris Voss and how the FBI trains people to close. Well, one of the things that, especially in the federal law enforcement side that they do is that they will actually have you recount stories 20 different times. And it sounds
like to say it differently.
And they're waiting for that. They're always waiting for the inconsistency because it's going to happen at some point. And when it happens, that's your inroad. So 100% always treat it like it's a new call. When JV leads come in, do not say, like, I know a lot of times it's like, hey, you spoke to my partner and it's another company. It's another person completely. I personally recommend treating it like a cold call, treating it like a brand new company. One, because it is, especially if it's a JV.
Yeah.
Two, you're gonna find things that they missed.
So when a JV, I got 2 points to that, right? I'm gonna say the first one. First, not even, that's a great point, Sam. Not even to find them lying though, right? I like to paint the picture a lot for them, right? So like, and Keston always says this, you got to use their pain to paint the picture, right? So you find their motivation, and your solution is supposed to paint the sunset for them at the end of the line, right? It's supposed to paint happiness, right? Like at my list says, we selling happiness, right? But we don't know what makes them happy if we don't know what's freaking making them sad right now, if that makes sense, right? So you got to understand where they're coming from to help them get to where they're trying to go. And the best way to do that is to get them to say it out of their mouth. And this is the second point, when somebody sends me a JV lead, because you guys know, like, I have a heavy JV model, right? Majority of my leads are JV. As soon as they come into my system, my lead manager calls it and he treats it like a brand new lead. My lead manager calls it before any of my acquisitions people call it, because he can filter motivation better than half the wholesalers that send us leads. And if they're not motivated, he's not going to send it over. He's going to move it to long-term follow-up, and we're going to put him on a drip campaign.
So it's so true, right? And to your point, one thing I want to hit on is that knowing their pain so you can paint, the sunset and the light at the end of the tunnel. When sellers speak to person A, let's just say this is the JV person who brought the lead, and they've actually opened up about their pain, opened up about their story, they actually feel a connection to that person.
Yep.
If you come in as someone totally different and you don't basically learn their story to the equal capacity, right, to the same level, they're not going to have that same connectivity with you, and that's actually going to work against you. Now this relationship is foundationed upon being transactional, which is you're calling me because you want to buy my property. But if you call it, approach it as a brand new call, ask the right questions, get all the pain out. Now that seller, like in their mind subconsciously, they're like, holy crap, this person sat and they listened to me and they listened to my story, and now they are familiar with me. It's actually going to increase your rapport. It's going to increase your comfortability with the seller. So these are all like massive, massive things. Dude, Daryll, man, I think you know a thing or two about closing.
A little bit.
Yeah.
A little bit. Yeah, bro. But yeah, like, I think us underwriting that deal is a little premature. I think you can get that 50% down. I think you can get it a lot lower. Because right now he doesn't trust you. That's why he's asking for 50% down. Because you didn't pull on his heartstrings at all. There's a lot of pain out there. Why does he want to leave his partner, right? Like, that's something happened. Something happened. You bought 7 cabins with this guy, and now you want to walk away, right? What happened?
Right.
Yeah, this is. I actually want to highlight this. I'm so glad you said that about the partners, and here's why. On the Nightly Dell a while back, Claudio Diaz dropped this massive gem that no one ever talks about, and that's that you can actually buy out a partnership's equity. You can actually, if 2 people own a property, 50-50, you can actually buy one person's equity out and be a 50% owner. The problem with that is that, one, is no one ever talks about this, but 2, we talk about inheriting problematic tenants. Be careful about inheriting problematic partnerships.
Yep.
So these are also questions that we need to vet out. We need to ask these questions. Look for what's going on 100%. Why the heck do you want to get out? If it was an amazing, fruitful relationship, I mean, why are you leaving it? Because if it's cash flowing, it's making good money. What else is going on, right, in that partnership that's making you want to sell or making you want to liquidate, this asset? Because that's what this is. It's real estate property. It's an asset. Dude, that's actually super good.
Yep.
So I have a question, because now I'm thinking damn, I fucked up.
No, heck no.
So how can I go back in a way that's like a pull away, but enough to be able to negotiate what
Play
needs
dumb.
to happen? Because at this point, I'm basically, I'm like, hey, let me see what we can do here. So I need to go back in a way like, hey, actually, what's going on? Why is this partnership not working? Maybe we can't do 50%.
Play
What
dumb.
do you guys suggest?
Play dumb. Like really dumb.
Play dumb?
Yeah. Play dumb.
Like I never said anything?
No, not like that. So I would say, hey man, I'm running these numbers. 50% seems like really, really high. Just curious, why are you selling this anyways? These look like really good properties. It sounds like a really good asset. Why would you ever sell this?
Yeah. Okay.
Play dumb and just get really curious and get all up in this situation.
Because I believe there's multiple closing styles. Do you mind if I just give how I personally handle that? So to be honest with you, and I actually really like that idea. I actually really, really do. And that approach is so smart, and it's probably more effective than what I'm going to say. But for me,
he's such a closer. That's a closer move right there.
No, it's so true. It's so true. It actually is, and it's so funny. But I like always giving different perspectives and a different scale and a gradient of approaches, so you can always find out what works best for you. My take on that is this, and this is just personally how I deal with it. If this person's in a partnership and it's a big thing, you're basically dealing with someone who probably considers them to be an investor of some level, right? And Daryl's actually right. If you play dumb with, I like to call these people amateur investors. And that sounds rude, and it kind of is. I should probably not do that. But with amateur investors, here's one thing about them. When you play dumb, they actually just start talking. They spill the beans really, really, really quickly. And if that works, I actually recommend trying that first. And then if you're not getting the response that you want, I'm a huge advocate of sometimes there's a tremendous power in just asking the uncomfortable question in a bold way. And so for me, it's the same. It's actually what he said is it's effectively the same thing. Just change your tonality and your pitch a little bit. And then, so Daryl came out of it hey, I'm running the numbers and you know what? Things are just, I don't know. Where are you getting this from? I'm not seeing it. Help me understand. And it's very non-aggressive. It's non-combative and there's no tension there.
Right.
Try that first. And it's the easy approach and see if they give it up easy. If they don't, then I'm going to shift it up and I'm going to be like, okay, well, you know what? I wanted to get on this call and I wanted to ask you what you're seeing because I'm not seeing it. But I want to ask these more direct questions because I want to figure out what's actually going on.
Right.
I want to ask you about one, forget the numbers, right? Forget the 50%. What's actually going on with your partnership? If this is a great asset that's performing, right? And I know you're an investor. I know you're an investor and you think like one. Help me understand why you want out of this asset. If it's a good one, and just open that. Lead with a nonchalant non-tension because you can actually get an easier response. But if that doesn't work, a lot of times, if you follow it up with just asking the uncomfortable question in a very direct, I actually asked the same thing that Daryl did.
That's the same question.
It was literally the same question, right? The only thing that changed was tonality and pitch.
Yep.
And it's just so much more direction. It's so much more direct, and it kind of it's what it's going to do on the seller on the other side. He's probably, when your parents ever catch you doing something you shouldn't be doing, you get that feeling right here, right in the middle of your chest, oh, crap. He's going to get hit with that. And then he will either fumble, right? And Daryl, you know this, when federal law enforcement, when they hear you fumble on words and they feel you panicking, they know to dig in more.
Yep.
Because you just found the lying foundation. This is how you catch people in lines. This is how you're going to catch him either lying to you on numbers, right? You're going to get past the 50%. I think Daryl's right. Don't look too much into the 50%. I think the 50% is a lack of trust. You probably had a very early conversation with him, and it was probably premature to get certain specific numbers in because all you have to do is say 50%. Are you serious? An FHA loan makes me come up to the table with 3.5% down. Yeah. A conventional loan is 20%. Why on earth would I come to the table with 50% down?
You know what I tell people when they ask me for 50%?
Dude, exactly. That's.
I literally say absolutely not.
Yeah, no, thank
absolutely
you.
Not. No.
Good luck with that. I hope you find it. And when you do, tell you, when you find someone who pays you 50%, give me their phone number. I want to sell them some deals too.
Yeah.
Oh my
But
god.
all that to say, get 100% to 50%. It's kind of like smoke and mirrors in the beginning, right? It's like whatever the seller tells you their first number. A lot of the times I tell my team, don't pretend you didn't even hear it. It actually doesn't matter until you've got the motivation, you've built the trust. That number always comes down. 2, I want you to go looking for what I call landmines. Landmines are things that are very hidden. If you don't ask the right questions, you'll never see them. You'll never know they're there until you step on them and they blow up. Go find those landmines. Partnership, one of those things is a partnership. Ask the uncomfortable question after you've gone ahead and played dumb a little bit. Honestly, you'll probably find out some really interesting things.
Sweet. Thank you, Sam. This is gold.
This guy's a freaking legend, man. See why I asked him to come up here? He always drops fire. I just learned something, bro. And you know what I really like about your approach, bro? I'm really big on positioning yourself as an authority, right? Positioning yourself as the subject matter expert, right? And when you're asking extremely direct questions like that, the way you did, and just controlling the conversation that way, you get a different type of credibility and respect, right? So I love that, bro. I love that.
And I appreciate that, right? My whole thing is confidence, control, and being an authority, like you said. Now, here's the thing. That's not going to work for everyone.
It's not.
Right? Daryll, you and I have a mutual friend by the name of Munif, who does not sound like me, doesn't talk like me, has probably a polar opposite closing style than me, but it works for him. So, Alexis, to you, I would say, just go ahead and figure out what works for you. Try both things out. Maybe you hate my approach because it's so unnatural and it just like kills you on the inside to try to do it. And then try Daryll's approach. And if you fall in love with it, just start refining it.
I think I'm gonna play dumb first, right? But this direct technique and getting super uncomfortable, I'm interested to see how that works out for me, because I'm pretty direct in regular life. With the sellers, though, I put on a role in order, because I know rapport is kind of important. So I put on a kind of a role, but this seems like, just be yourself, ask the uncomfortable questions, do what you need to do, and get out.
That's the important part about sales. You got to be yourself, right? Just like he was talking about with Munif. Munif is himself, 1,000% on the calls. Like me, I'm myself on my calls. Sam is himself, right? You have to be yourself. You can't try to be like somebody else, or you're just gonna fumble a lot, right? Like, yeah, you can take like one-liners and stuff from other people and stuff like that, but you got to make it your own at the end of the day, right? So definitely be yourself, right? Be the direct person. Like I'm an extremely direct person as well. So I have parts of my call that a lot of my calls where I'm extremely direct and to the point, right? But when I want to get more information from people, I just love playing dumb, right? I love playing dumb, and I want them to think that they have one up on me and they just give me everything that I want, right? And I just use it as sniper bullets.
Yeah.
I love that. There's such a power to that, right? And then I'm always going to go back to this. I'm always going to go back to negotiation tactics, and that's a lot of the times you're going to ask questions that you already know the answer to, or you already know the answer to. You're just asking it to see how they respond, because how they respond in their tone, their pitch, and if they start fumbling is going to tell you if they're freaking lying or not. And these things are so indicative on who you're dealing with as a human being. Daryll, you know about a seller that I have that I told you. It's like a 74-year-old Catholic woman from Texas, and she sounds like Martha Stewart. She sounds like an absolute nightmare human being. Like, she tried to scam us 10 times over. We had to file a memorandum. She literally called my VA back on accident, thinking it was a different company, trying to sell the deal after she was already with us. I was there with my VA live on Zoom when it happened. And what did I do? On this call, the next call with her, I didn't call her and tear her a new one. What I did is I actually just probed a little bit because I wanted to see how she responded. And this is so critical, guys. Know that there's such a power to being yourself, but there's also a true power to being dynamic in your questions, dynamic in your tone, dynamic in your Eddie's right, dude.
Yo, they're the most evil people.
They are, dude. If they sound like Martha Stewart, just file a memorandum immediately.
They're
Like,
sharks, bro.
Like
They're sharks.
exactly, like when you submit paperwork to title, be like, here's my purchase contract and a memorandum.
The memorandum. Because I know.
Automatically. But there's such a power to being dynamic, right? And one thing that you have to be dynamic with is knowing that your sellers, you're gonna have different approaches with different sellers. You always should. And here's the reason why. When you deal with a grandma who's 50 years old and just has a property that she's lived in, right? Honestly, with her, I'm not going to be hyper direct because it can come across as bullying her, right? I don't want to be brash with her. There's a way to go about her. So with her, I would actually like immediately play dumb. If I catch her doing some like wonky things, I would play dumb and I would probe that way. But if I have someone who's got a portfolio of 20 properties and has cash flow and uses terms like all these types of things, then I'm dealing with an investor or an amateur investor. Then I love those guys because I get to cut through the BS and I get to just be me and I get to just be like, okay, you're an investor. I'm going to look at this from an investment standpoint. I usually will tell them that I'm probably just going to wholesale this anyway, or I'm going to sell it to a hedge fund, or I'm going to sell it to somebody else because I don't want to deal with it.
Yep.
And you just call them out like you speak their language. So this is essentially what I'm alluding to is what we know as mirroring. So, it's like that whole thing, know thy enemy. Not to say that sellers are enemy, but in the beginning, they can kind of be like your opposition. You need to scope them out. You need to understand who you're dealing with, right? So you can properly get them to open up.
Bro, I feel like I know so many like FBI tactics. Like you would think that I was in the FBI, bro. Like when you were just talking, I was thinking about like calibrated questions, right? And how people, let me see if I say this right. People lie different ways. People lie a whole bunch of different ways, but they only tell the truth one way, right? So that's why when like they're interrogating you, right, they ask you questions like, "What's your name? When's your birthday? Who's the president?" Right? Because you're gonna have the same expression, same facial, same tone when you're telling the truth, right? But when you lie, it's gonna be a different way every time. You may look to the left, you may scratch, you may do something really subtle. But they're just looking for how you tell the truth, right? What do you do to tell the truth? What do you do when you tell the truth? And then when you lie, they know, like it's just jumping out, right? That's why those calibrated questions are really, really good, bro, because you can catch on to somebody,
So, dude, you're so right. And guys, for anyone who's not aware, if you look at in law enforcement, a lot of times in military too, in local, state, and the federal side of things, when you work for the government, a lot of times you're going to have to do what's called a polygraph, which is a fancy word for a lie detector test. Yeah. And those things are real. They're not just in Law and Order and movies. They are actually real. I've been through tons of them, and they are very invasive and they are as terrifying as they seem. And the reality is those calibrated questions, right? Or those baseline questions, those preliminary establishment questions, all they do is exactly what Daryll said. People only tell the truth one way because you don't have to get creative with how to tell the truth. It's the freaking truth. So you say it as it is. But when people start lying, their physiology will actually start changing. We have like the classics, right? Sweaty palms, elevated heart rate, dilated pupils, right? People get frantic and they'll start moving a lot, get jittery. They'll have inconsistent breathing patterns. Why? Without realizing it, they're trying to say something 20 different ways to make it sound believable. And again, I'm not saying that you guys are polygraphers, you guys aren't freaking FBI special agents out here, but on the phone, look for those inconsistencies because they come up. They will come up. Daryll, you and I talk all the time, and whenever we talk, even though we have a great time, our conversations and the way that we say things are always very consistent. And it's because we don't lie to one another. But when you talk on the phone with a seller, the first conversation you have with, like, actually pay attention to the entire timeline of the discussion. If their pitch, their tone, and their pacing is all about the same, chances are they were actually probably being honest that whole time. But on the second call, if the pacing changes, right, if it's much more rapid than before, if all these little things, if you actually look at it from a macro view, the entire timeline of the second call, if there's a lot of variation, chances are either A, they're in an environment that is kind of hectic, or B, that they may not be as truthful as you would like them to be. Daryll, when are you going to go to like the FBI Academy and just start like, teaching a class?
That's what I'm saying. It sounds like y'all read a Chris Voss 2.0.
Yeah, you know how many times I went through Chris Voss training? I can probably like recite his whole master class. That's all I know from the FBI. That's all where I got all my FBI training stuff from.
Daryl's a beast. Daryl's 100% a beast. So guys, once just know this, man. If real estate investing, if you decide it's too boring for you, I'm pretty sure that you'll have like a spot at the Academy in Quantico just waiting, man.
I'm gonna be a hostage negotiator, bro.
Ooh. Alexis, what else are you running into? I'm very curious.
Daryll, should I tell him about this Morby method? This other one? This lady?
Tell him.
So I had a yes from a seller on a Morby method deal. And right before we were gonna confirm everything and sign paperwork, he shoves this other lady on the phone named Jen. And they're not married. Jen's just in real estate, a friend he trusts. And she came into our call with one purpose, and it was to kill the deal.
Hold on, what kind of real estate does she?
She does owner financing. She does owner financing. She does seller financing. So she came on the call with me. Paul handed the phone over to Jen, and she goes, "How much money are you coming out of pocket?" Straight up. And I'm like, well, I spoke to Paul, and we're going to get a loan, so we will have to come to the closing table with 30% of the purchase price. In this situation, that's $380,000. And she goes, no, I don't think you understand my question. Because she understands what we're trying to do. After escrow, it's returned and that note is created. And she basically, I answered her question with good rebuttals and objections, and then she goes, let me make this clear. You, yourself, and your team, how much money are you going to have in the deal at the end of the day? And I'm like, well, you're an investor. The goal is to come out and leverage private money and come out with nothing out of pocket. And she goes, yeah, that's not going to work. You have no skin in the game. And she goes, I'm not going to let my friend Paul go in second position with someone who has none of their money in the deal. And I didn't really know what to say. She.
That's when Alexis is supposed to come out.
Bro, she brought the freaking heat, man. She asked you the uncomfortable direct question.
Yeah.
And I would love to hear the call recording, because I can almost guarantee that you probably froze for at least 3 seconds. Never thought in your life you would be asked that question, right? And this woman, I can guarantee, I don't even know her, but the fact that she did that in that manner actually tells me that she's probably an emotionally intelligent human being, right? And that is actually, oh my God, that is amazing. Daryll, dude, we'll get back to the deal, but do we have this woman's contact number? Because I could probably.
Yes, I tried to call her. I
want to hire her, dude. She could be my closer. Yeah. If she comes at it like that, she can close some deals.
Yeah.
That's okay. So, wow. Here's the thing. What is this woman's intention? Does she actually want to buy the property?
That's what I think.
That's what everyone thinks, because it's just his friend who's done the owner finance deals.
Got you. So, Daryll, let me ask you a very pointed question. If a seller has a friend, and that friend is also there in person, right? Not some virtual friend, they're actually physically there to jump on the freaking phone. Mm-hmm. And that person is an accomplished, seemingly, for this person to ask that question, that's actually a very specific question that showcases this isn't just like a regular realtor. That's a very smart question to ask. If I was on the opposing team and I wanted to beat you, damn, that's a good way to go about it. So she's
good. She was good. I didn't hear it, but that was good. For sure.
If this person asked that question, if this person is an established investor of some sort, is a real estate authority, right? How much of a chance does Alexis honestly have at this seller selling to her before the friend?
Not much. And that's why I said, Alexis, do you remember the question that I said you could have asked? Why don't you buy this property?
Yeah.
So that's phenomenal. So one, as it stands, you don't really have much to go off of, right? Because you are now subject to a gatekeeper who has already badmouthed you, has already labeled you, and this person is probably a trusted advisor, right?
Yep.
We talked about the world of closing, be a trusted advisor. That person is a trusted advisor. They're already in the seller's ear. You've already probably been labeled as a scam artist or someone who wants no skin in the game, all this kind of stuff. So the reality is, what are your chances of getting this deal right now over if you want it? Your chances are very, very low, to be completely honest. So you're gonna if you know what is the only way that I personally see that you can actually salvage this is if you actually know enough about the seller's problem and you can come in as an authority to fix that problem. You have to bring.
You want to hear a seller call really quick? Sorry, I'm getting a call.
Go for it.
Let's do it.
Oh, never mind. She hung up. I'm gonna get never mind. Andrew had called her, so I'll get Andrew to call her back. Sorry about that. Go ahead, Sam.
No, you're good, man. So right now, as it stands, I don't think you're not in a phenomenal position. Let's just say it that way. You're not in a position to succeed right now. If you have enough knowledge about this person's pain points, you may be able to recover to a degree. Here's one of the things that you're going to need to do. You're going to need to get past the gatekeeper. You're going to have to call them at times, get them on the phone, if it's he or she, I don't know, when they're not in proximity to this other person. And you need to manage that phone call. Like, when you get on the phone with a seller and you know that they've actually only got 2.5 minutes to talk, and it's a make it or break it in that 2.5 minutes, and you have to it's like the clock is beating, right? You're going for the buzzer beater. You have to manage every word you say and how you say it. Be very careful. If you get this seller on the phone and the gatekeeper isn't there, you need to be just as careful with it, because you're basically trying to recover lost ground. This one's going to be fun. That's actually super dope. And seriously,
how would you overcame that, bro?
What was that?
How would you have overcame that?
Yeah.
That's a tough one. I mean, even me, I've never actually been in that position before, but I would actually, I like that you were truthful, right? I would have remained 100% truthful, say that as a staple. And here's another thing. I think that I think that she was challenging you.
Yes.
I think that's really what it is. Outside of, if she's an investor, she's probably not going to come to the table with any of her own money, right? Exactly. If she's smart. So in my opinion, what she's actually doing is she's challenging your position as the front runner for getting this deal. She basically just scorched the earth with you.
Yes.
Coming with the same exact deal.
Yeah.
The same exact deal.
So what I would have done is I would have
declined a seller call.
It's a fugazi lead, so don't worry.
It's a what?
Okay, Daryl, now you're making me feel like I should. Go ahead, Sam. I'll call this guy.
You should call right now. I mean, money only calls once.
All right. Well, I don't know if you guys will be able to hear it. Is it if it's through my computer?
I'll just give you feedback on how you do.
Okay.
We will. We'll be able to hear it. That's how I make on my calls. I know air call when I hear air call. Is that air call?
I think I just got declined. Money calls one.
Call them twice. If they have an iPhone and they have it on silent mode, you have to call twice to break through.
Yep.
Okay.
Closer tip. I call all my friends twice because all their phones are always on do not disturb.
I call 4 times because I want to talk.
Thank you for your call. You have reached Chip Allen of Dynasty Realty. If you'd like to leave a message.
Dynasty Realty. Okay. So yeah, my approach would have been actually very similar to what you did. But remember how I asked the same question that Daryl asked? I just said it differently with a different level of conviction in my voice. I like that you were truthful, right? There's a power to being truthful. I would have came right back at her and actually matched her. I'm not a massive fan of always meeting a red with a red. I think there's better ways to handle it. But in that scenario, I would have actually met her back with the same level of brevity that she gave you. And that's being well, honestly, I'm going to spend no dollars out of pocket. And she's like, Why? Just have an attitude about it, right? Because I know what I'm doing. I'm a smart investor. Now, if I go and try to spend my own money, right, I'm only going to be able to buy one house this month. But if I can go leverage my friends' money, my investors' money, some doctors, some attorneys, some other investors, you know what's going to happen? I can go buy 10.
Mm-hmm.
Like, now, let me ask you this, madam, whoever the heck you are. If you were in my position, would you rather just buy one house this week or this month, or would you buy 10?
Bring her to your side of the table.
So this is a conversation that we had. And she asked me, why don't you use your own money? And I said, listen, you're an investor. You know, I could, with the purchase price of 1 million, if I'm putting so much down, I could go and buy 4 or 5 houses with that. And she was like, yeah, I know. You could probably buy 1,000 houses on owner finance this year. She just she got it. She understood everything. I think it was like a challenge. She was just challenging.
Sorry, not to cut you
Let me say this. There's two things. One, this is an element of knowing thyself, right? And don't you're gonna hit on some other things. An element of knowing thyself is knowing what you have to work for. I understand that I naturally sound like this and it comes across a certain way.
Mm-hmm.
You don't sound like this, and that's okay. You just need to have some self-awareness with how that may come across to someone who is trying to stomp you down. Because right now, the level of conviction that you just said that with right now wasn't very strong.
Mm-hmm.
If I'd asked you that question and you met me with that type of response, with that pitch, that tonality, and like talking about, you know, I think you said it, oh yeah, with the purchase price of this, we're going to come to the table with 30% down, and getting really wordy with it. To me, you're rambling. And I'm sensing nervousness. You're not authority. You've actually discredited yourself very quickly. So I 100%, when you look at these people, you have to be very careful about like being self-aware. And for you, you don't have to sound like me. You're never going to sound like me, and that's okay. What I would have actually recommended you do is, like, I'm trying to give you things that like you can actually take. If we looked at that call recording, is I think you gave an answer that was like this long and wordy. And then I can guarantee you, if that person was like there in person with the seller while you were talking and basically rambling, she did this. Seller's right here. She's like, this is true.
Yeah.
I do sell them, guys. They are on sale right now. Buy one, get one 50% off. It will actually, if you guys want to. Okay, I'm not going to go there. I was going to say something. Okay, Daryll, go for it, man. What you got?
I forgot what that's what I was going to say. Also, I think if you would have asked her a question, right, and made her get into your shoes, that would have been a lot better, rather than you telling her that, you know, you want to put less money down. Ask her, right? If you're an investor, right, you buy houses on creative finance, right? And then just ask her this. The statement that you made just turned into a question.
Right.
Right.
I think now that, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, I think that would have helped a lot.
I just had an epiphany. And like, since I just had this epiphany now, I probably wouldn't have thought of it in the moment. But going forward, if anyone actually runs into a similar scenario, if this person buys on seller finance, or let's just say, like, she's probably a creative finance specialist, right? Or to some degree, she's probably done a sub-2 deal. And so where she's taken over someone's loan, I would have actually just thrown it back at her. Been like, hey, you sound really smart. Have you ever done a sub-2 deal or subject to deal where you've taken over someone's mortgage? And then because she's trying to sound like an authority, she may actually even lie and say yes. I can guarantee you she will say yes, because she's not going to discredit herself. Boom. You just called her out on being a hypocrite, because that's not her. She didn't go and apply for that mortgage, right?
Right.
That debt is still in the seller's name. She is getting a person's property with none of the underlying liability of being on the mortgage itself. Throw it right back at them sometimes. Sometimes it's by far the best answer. Daryl's right. You should 100% call her back out, ask her these questions, have not just put her in your shoes, but like, she's giving you enough to work with where you could have actually just thrown it right back at her and discredited her really quickly. Yeah.
Yeah. Now that we're having this kind of reflection session, which I'm super, super grateful for. Thank you guys for helping me with this. I'm realizing that, like, in that call, I think it's one of the calls in so long that I've lost control. Like, I was being the one that was answering questions. You guys are making me realize I was answering questions the whole time. I never asked her one thing. So
One thing, it sounds like she was giving you a lot of objections, right? And I teach my team, every time you overcome an objection, you should follow up with the question. Every single time. Every time. And that question should be leading you towards a close.
Okay.
Most people, and this isn't it's kind of off topic, right? But most objections usually come when you're trying to get the sale, right? So I like to overcome the objection and then ask for the sale. Most people don't like asking for the sale. How you gonna get a deal if you're not asking for a sale? Like, so, heck yeah.
This was a cool case study, man. I've actually never run into this. That was really interesting.
It really was. I hope she calls back. I want her to call me back, but I want you to do it. I never. Alexis always brings me or leads the call, and I'm like, no, you call them.
Yeah, I would actually say once that's done, then I want to call her because I need more close for that ass.
Hire her, bro.
Oh my God.
Did you guys hear the last guy I was talking to? He said he's gonna join our door knock team.
Hey, I wasn't on here. That's
Yeah, that was interesting, man. You had that guy like putty in your hands. That was a really cool one. That being
That's my
said,
guy, bro.
So you're gonna have him be a potential funding partner.
Yeah.
I think he may actually door knock for you. I think he may be in love with you, just from what I heard.
He is. No, he is. He really is. Like he expressed his gratitude for me a lot of times, bro. And he told me he's like, yeah, if you need any testimonials, I got you. He's like, if you need any seller to like, this is all random. He just brought all this up. He's like, I'll write something up so you can put on your website. He's like, if you have any seller who wants to talk to me, just shoot me a text and give him my number. Like, I'm good. He's like, I will tell everybody how awesome you are.
Daryll, what did you do, man? You like changed this man's life.
I provided a solution.
You like pull him out of a burning car or something?
Bro, I provided. You would think, bro. He has a hard money loan on his property for $90K. Everybody was offering him like 120, 130. He just renovated the property a year ago. He wants to keep the cash flow and he wants his price. Nobody's coming up to his price. So I'm like, I can come up to your price. And he said this. He's like, yo, everybody keeps offering me half of what I want, right? He's like, you're the only person who told me that you could pay me what I want. Your only stipulation was I need to wait a couple years, right? And he's like, and I'm grateful that you learned this strategy. And he's like, I want to learn it myself. Like,
this is a cash out refi.
It's a cash out refi, yeah.
That makes sense. Okay, man. I love that. And here's why. Daryll, you actually said this on the night down a long time ago. This is one of those times where before you and I really knew each other, like really well. And I was like, once I heard you say it, I was like, dude, this guy freaking gets it. And you talked about this. You talked about a lot of times when we're talking to sellers, you should actually envision yourself at an interrogation table. The best negotiators, the best interrogators, they actually do not sit on the other side of the table from you. They will actually come in, pick up the chair, pull it around the side, sit down next to you, be on the same side of the table. And that's exactly where you're at right now.
Yep.
Like a perfect example of doing it. And especially with something like a cash out refi, which I would assume you're having very involved, very extended, ongoing conversations. You've had a lot of time to build the rapport and you've had a lot of time to actually work together.
Yep.
Damn.
Bro, it got to the point where
he'll drive for dollars for you. He'll put up bandit signs.
That's what he said, bro. He's like, yeah. He's like, I've been in the game for a while. He's like, I got some expertise. He's like, I love acquisitions. He's like, I can help you out. And like, bro, he even brought his friend on as a credit partner because his credit's not good enough. So he's like, he told his friend, I'll pay you $2,500 to be my co-borrower for the deal, so we can do this deal.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Daryll freaking Ellison, folks.
I love that.
Yo, this is my first time to getting that approved though. Like I've pitched cash out refi at least 50 times. And this guy, it just fits his situation, you know? So
yeah, cash out refis, 100%, man. They're very rare. They typically pitch them. They're a phenomenal solution, but realistically, with the work that's involved, they usually end up going a different way. That's a lot.
You got to think, bro. You're asking somebody to go get a loan in their name, so you can take it over.
Yeah. So the fact that you're this far along, man, it's huge. It's actually huge. That's a pretty cool thing, and I can't wait to see when it's done. Because knowing you'll probably do some high level case study, and if you weren't thinking about it now, I hope you are.
Oh yeah, I was already planning it, bro. But thank you for the idea. I'm gonna tag you and say Sam gave me this idea.
That's all I ask. Just a little bit of credit. And snacks. Send me snacks.
Question for you guys.
bro.
So I'm working with some other friends in sub 2 with a guy that's doing a cash out refi. However, he's an artist. What's the solution if they can't get a refi? Mortgage method?
Yeah, pretty much. What? So he doesn't have. Does he not have credit? Does he not have good credit?
Like income statements, he gets paid like super inconsistently.
So you can base it off the asset. That's why you bring an asset-based lender. Who they're not really going to care about how much money you're making, but they will check credit. They will check your credit. Credit's not as important.
I was gonna say, one, I want to say this. It's actually hilarious that she was like, "He's an artist, so."
This is just, I don't know anything about his art.
So it's safe to say that he's probably not going to be he can't qualify. This is actually, unfortunately, the truth, and that's totally.
Hope he's
okay.
not watching this right now.
Yeah. If you're watching this, I'm sorry.
Sorry, Mr. Artist.
Sorry to all artists out there.
To all of our artists, we actually love you. We actually do love you. We
too.
love you a lot. And we hope and wish that you can all qualify for loans. But yeah, I'm gonna get off after this one.
Yo,
But
Asset,
all that to say, I actually agree. Daryl's 100% right. My gut reaction would be to basically go and find an asset-based lender and explore options that way, so you can wipe out the entire thing.
perfect. Thank you guys for that. I appreciate you.
Yo, any other questions? Because I'm about to jump off. I got a cheesesteak waiting on me. Got my name on it. Yeah.
I have to call back my friend. I hopped on here so that we could, talk about this. So I appreciate you guys so much. I have to call this Jen lady and ask her questions.
It's called Jen.
So
Lock me up.
thank you guys so much for the value today and the tips.
Of course, anytime.
Daryl, brother, thanks for having me. Alexis, go kill it. Call that lady back and give her a bunch of shit right back at her. I'll see you guys later, okay?
Yeah,
Appreciate you,
thank
brother.
Sam.
Love you,
Thank
dog.
you, Daryl.
Thank you, Alexis. No doubt. Yo, I appreciate y'all for tuning in. Like y'all said, like I just said, I need to go eat this cheesesteak. I'm starving. I didn't eat yet today. But yo, this was episode 24 of Scaleout. I hope y'all got some valuable information today. We had some high-level closing conversations on here, which is really, really good. Love you, Eddie. Can't wait to buy some deals with you, bro. Everybody, if it's your first time on here, please subscribe to the channel for me. Like this video for me. I will be back tomorrow. I think I'm feeling like making some seller calls, so I think I'm gonna make some seller calls tomorrow. But yeah, as always, I appreciate y'all. Love y'all. We out.